Everybody hear me? Back there, in the back? Good. All right, let me start this. Hi, my name's Shawn, and I am a member of this program. I've been known to undervalue myself, so therefore under-earn, and sometimes I debt mostly myself, and sometimes I have a business. It's rough out there. For me, I need to start with this, but I have a prayer I've been using lately, and I don't even like saying the word prayer, but anytime I communicate with my higher power, it's just the word I use. And God, help me to be brave for you. Help me to be brave for you. I only have 15 minutes, and I got a lot of stories, a lot of things to say, so I'm just going to get into it. And trust that whatever I say is what I meant to say today, but help me to be brave for you. And forgive me if you heard me speak in a meeting maybe a year ago at another program, but there is this story that I share that perfectly exemplifies my youth and just wraps up my entire childhood into a bow, and you'll get the picture. But if you've heard it before, just sit back, relax. But I grew up in Northern Virginia, right outside Washington, D.C., and classic suburbs, brick red homes, colonial style. And I am about 3 or 4. I'm in the front yard. I have Spider-Man underwear on, and that's it. And like a pot belly, thick auburn hair. And I'm tumbling through the yard. I'm shooting my spidey web. I think I'm fantastic. And it's moving day. We're going from one house to the other house. And I have 7 siblings total, but at this time there was 5. And my little sister was just born, so she's hanging off my mother. My 3 older brothers, 6, 7, 8, 9, somewhere in there, and shooting spitballs. My father smoking a cigarette, packing up the trailer, and they're like, "All right, time to go, Shawn." I'm like, let me go to the bathroom one more time, and I run back in the house. It's empty, and I'm so proud of myself because I can go to the bathroom on my own now. And I do that. I say goodbye to the house because I'm gonna miss it. I grew up here. I'm like, bye, house. And I come out the front door, and my mother was the world to me. Everything I did was for her. And so I come out the front yard like Spider-Man superhero. I do this wonderful tumble, and I'm like, "Mom, watch." And I do a somersault, shoot my spidey web, and I'm coming up thinking I'm going to see her beaming face, but she's gone. The Suburban, the trailer, they're all gone. And it says a lot about my family that my first thought was like, oh, they're playing a joke on me. They're going to come back around the corner. They're going to come back. And I waited. And to a 3-year-old, it's like, 2 minutes is 2 hours. And so I waited, and I went in the middle of the street, burned my feet on the hot asphalt, like looking to see if I could find him. And I couldn't find him. And so I just waited, and then nothing happened. So somehow, this little 3-year-old knew the way to the new house. It was a mile away. And to my little bare feet, that mile was more like 10 miles. And I remember turning the corner to the street we were on, and I was happy I found it. And not that my little brain could think this, but I started to feel this. Because when I looked, she was still holding my sister, yelling at the kids. They were shooting spitballs. He was still smoking and cursing. And I felt they didn't even notice that I was gone. Ooh. And I felt I must not matter to them. I remember walking slower as I got there, hoping that like the last minute she'd look up, she'd realize I wasn't there. But I made it all the way to her. And I was like, "Mommy, you left me." And, to her credit, she turned around and just like howled because she couldn't believe she did that. The damage was done. My poor mother, because most of my siblings have a very similar story. That's clearly the stuff we needed to work on. So for me, the message was clear. I don't matter. I have to work for love. And I'm going to do this, all right? I'm going to be the best little boy in the world, or there's no point. I'm going to be abandoned anyway. That's kind of the point of view I had in my life growing up. My father was a paycheck father, which meant that, he checked all the boxes of getting our financial needs met. And for him, he was a success because he didn't beat us like his father did. And my mother's very dependent upon him. And so Christmases, vacations, birthdays, cool. I got all the presents. All the boxes were checked. But unfortunately, I have zero memory of being connected to him, of feeling love for him, other than love that was bought. And likewise with my mother, except for extreme heightened experiences like being incredibly ill or in the hospital or extreme danger. But those are heightened experiences. But it's just, I don't have any memories of like really connecting as I understand it today with you guys. So my siblings and I acted like kids that weren't loved. Loud, obnoxious, we were bullies. My aunts and uncles, thank you. My aunts and uncles would look at us and be like, see my dad working really hard and us just acting the way we were acting because what we really wanted was love and we weren't getting it. And they would just look at us and be like, you're so ungrateful. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm supposed to be ungrateful. So by the time I landed here, when I landed here, I complained, I was ungrateful, I was entitled, I was lazy, and I had no idea how to work hard. None. And that's a lot of how the disease manifested for me. And so one of the very first things I had to learn when I got here was that none of that was my fault that I was that way. None of that was my fault. And that just took away a lot of the shame. But it was my responsibility. So my PRGs, they said this in a nicer way, but really in the beginning it was just shut up and work. Just shut up and work. And for me in my experience, I love when you do a PRG and you're like, you need or want something, you bring it to the PRG. Every time without fail, I'm always thinking they're going to slash my budget or my spending plan or something. But every time, doesn't matter who the PRG people are, they're always like, okay, well, let's earn more. And I'm like, that's an option? I never know that. So I've had to learn things here like new habits of thinking, because complaining is just a habit of thinking that I developed. I learned from my father. So gratitude is just a habit of thinking. It's just a way of looking at the world. I have to practice that daily in order to do that. And fortunately with gratitude, when you start having more in your life, it creates more things to be grateful for, and more things to be grateful for. So you just build on that habit of thinking. And learning that is truly just this inside job. And, for me, that core, that I don't matter, unfortunately, it meant that my life meant that I was going to defy that and prove that I mattered. So every experience in my life was like a test to prove that I matter. And that was my MO. Problem with that, though, I'm so focused on that, I'm not actually learning and growing. I don't actually learn and grow past the abilities that I already believe I have. I couldn't develop in my crafts. I couldn't develop in other things other than the limits I already had, if that makes any sense. So, and the other thing with that is thinking I don't matter. That's extreme anxiety, all the time. I would, no wonder my acting career hasn't gone to great heights. I've had peaks, but man, imagine if it went to a great height and the stress of those stakes would probably be lethal for me. I was suffering from panic attacks in the waiting room. And for me, honestly, this is where it gets icky for me, because saying God is still trying to feel good in my mouth. But I've been doing 12 steps for 13 years, and it's true that there is only one solution. And the steps are the literal steps to that solution for me, and which is obviously God, higher power, whatever you want to call it. And so when I was 13, I was the best little Mormon boy, and I believed in Mormon God. I loved my mother was a Mormon, and my father was not. I totally was in it to win it. When I was 13, though, the hormones were kicking in, and it was validating that, oh no, I actually really like boys. And I felt utterly betrayed by God, abandoned and heartbroken, because I must have done something so terribly wrong that he gave me this disease that I was infected with being being a gay boy. And so again, I'm abandoned. And it's just, something's not right if for any 13-year-old who wants to die. So, and then I got into program when I was 23, but those 10 years, I'm fuck you, I'm doing this on my own. Excuse me if I curse, but I do. And that led me to just alcoholism and crystal meth addiction and crystal meth business, dealing drugs. And that was so successful, the cops were interested in it. and then the federal government wanted, I was a narc for the federal government. It's a tragic story, but it's for another program. So that being said, my heart broken. my heart being broken by God. Only in the last couple of years have I learned that. God wants me to be authentic, and the reason He wants me to be authentic is the big reason why I'm even in this soul in this human body. I strongly believe that my soul is trying to express itself in the greatest and best and most abundant way possible, because I'm on this path of, for me guys, but God realization, this idea that the big who am I from God, and we're all just a multiplicity of souls trying to answer that question. And so authenticity, thank you. Authenticity for me is like, it's everything. And for me to have this relationship with God, this new relationship, I've had to seriously been like, excuse my language, but I've had to be a little bitch. I was like, no, motherfucker, you abandoned me. You left me behind. You betrayed me. You broke my heart. You made me suffer. And I swear to you, the more honest I am about that relationship, the more love I feel, which is, I guess, one of those paradoxes. But it's been the only way that I've been able to come back to a God that works for me, one that is all loving, and one that actually believes that I matter. And so, despite myself, I've gotten better in this program. Like taking suggestions like, no, you're going to go be a personal assistant. And I'm like, ah. And that turned into a gallery job, and that turned into me like realizing I like to paint, and now I have this whole other thing that I do and stuff like that. So, there's things like that, and realizing that my addictions are actually a gift because it brings me. I believe every single thing, every moment in my entire life is designed in order to bring me closer to God. So we are not meant to be doing this alone. My addictions are a gift. It's like jet fuel to that relationship. And I think I'm meant to see the powerlessness and see that God is the source of everything. I mean, there's not a leaf that turns over in the forest without God knowing. So, and it's hilarious that I still think I know better. I mean, how do I know that specific result is the best thing for me, But it still doesn't stop me from wanting it. And, I used to, I've been around the church for like 10 years, and I used to sit around here, and I used to be like, there ain't nobody here that has what I want. I used to be a little bitch about that too, and man. And because I was basing that upon what I now know is the less important things in my life, things that I can still have and still want, which is fine. But the more less important things were the things coming from my ego, for the fame, the glory, the money, all that great stuff. And I wasn't focusing on the actual important things that I do see around here. Those that have been around here a long time, the one thing I noticed about all of them is that they soften. They soften and they open, and you can connect to them. And if you're lucky enough to have any of them do your PRG, you know that they're just a vessel for God to come down and tell you what you need to hear. They matter, I feel like it's hard for me to sit here and say that I fully believe that I matter today, because I still can get triggered. I can still fall back. But I have more and more moments from the truth in this relationship that I've had with God. I can obviously say it without wanting to spit now, but and I can sit in that and feel that love. And if I'm not feeling that, I can come to a meeting and I can actually feel it here. That's 2 minutes left. Okay. And I've, due to that not mattering, I've struggled so hard to believe in myself. I mean, it's been crippling. And it's provoked the best little boy in the world. And my PRGs, my last 5, they've all been like, you're not taking any actions. You've done enough. You just need to trust now. And the last person in the world that I want to trust is myself. That's also the key to believing, to feeling like I matter. I'm at the stage where I believe I can trust this new God, where I believe that this new God believes in me. I'm not there for myself, but I can see the evidence in my life that I am now not trying to prove that I matter, but I can see the evidence that I'm now focusing on learning and growing, and that being the point. Everything in my life is in front of me to reflect back to me the relationship with myself. So despite my mind, my ego wanting to make things right or wrong, good or bad, doesn't matter. Whatever's there, my job is to become okay with that. Because at the end of the day, it does not matter what program I'm working. The program itself is just the symptom, the outer manifestation, but every program, the same core, of a bedrock of shame and fear and I don't matter. It just manifests in me wanting to drink to change that, or me getting this person to tell me I'm okay, or this job. So if I want to heal that shame for myself, then my job has always been to become okay with whatever's in front of me. And honestly, halfway through my 10 years, if it meant stepping away from the meetings, not the program, but the meetings for a few months, for a little while, then realizing who I was after that, and then that's it. You got to go where your guide, I have to go where my inner intuition is taking me. I'm going to wrap up. Thank you. Whether you believe it or not, what you do matters. You matter. In theory, the simple fact that you're alive means you matter. My feelings may not match that thought, but I act as if, and I feel it a little bit more today, but I feel less shame. I feel more love, and it's a process, and I'm learning to grow a little bit by little bit, just getting a little bit better and a little bit better, and I soften, and I open, and I connect. I connect with my Father today like the way I was always expecting Him to connect with me, but now I get to be that for Him. This is the last thing I'll say, and I'll stop talking. That story when I was 3, that thing only existed to show me that my real relationship was with my higher power and not my parents. Ooh, snap. But it's true. It's true. So I am so utterly grateful to be a member of 12 Steps in this meeting especially. There's so much love to be found here. Thank you for letting me share.